I sold my construction company for $52 million on a Friday morning. To celebrate my retirement, I threw a dinner party at my lakeside estate in the Okanagan Valley. 4 hours into the evening, I collapsed at the dining table, my heart racing, my vision blurring. As the paramedics loaded me into the ambulance, my private chef leaned close and whispered something that changed everything. "Mr. Hayes, your son-in-law put something in your food." I watched him do it. "He mixed powder into your plate when everyone was toasting, I'm certain." I looked back at my house, at the warm lights and the sound of my daughter crying. And I made a decision right there on that stretcher. I was going to let them think I was dying. Before I tell you exactly what happened in that hospital and how I exposed the man who tried to kill me, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. And hit that subscribe button if you believe that patience and evidence always win over deception. My name is William Hayes. I'm 64 years old, and I've spent the last 38 years building a construction empire across British Columbia. I started with nothing but a tool belt and a used pickup truck in 1987. I was 26, fresh out of a failed marriage, with $3,000 in savings, and a dream that probably seemed ridiculous to everyone who knew me. I took small renovation jobs in East Vancouver, working 16-hour days, 7 days a week. I underbid everyone, worked faster than anyone, and delivered quality that spoke for itself. Within 2 years, I had 3 employees. Within 5, I had my first commercial contract, a small office building in Burnaby. By the time I was 40, Hayes Construction had built half the new condos going up in Richmond. By 50, we were doing major infrastructure projects, bridges, hospitals, schools. We built the community center in Whistler that hosted events during the 2010 Olympics. We constructed the cancer wing at Vancouver General Hospital. We laid the foundation for the new tech campus in Surrey. Last year I sold it all. The company, the equipment, the contracts, everything. $52 million. Not bad for a kid who grew up in a trailer park in Prince George, whose father died in a logging accident when I was 8, whose mother cleaned hotel rooms to keep us fed. I'm not flashy. I still drive a 1-2-year-old Ford F-150. I still live in the same lakeside house I bought 25 years ago in Kelowna, modest by Okanagan standards. Just 3 bedrooms with a dock and a view of the mountains. My ex-wife, Patricia, she left me 7 years ago, said I loved concrete and blueprints more than I loved her. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was so focused on building other people's dreams that I forgot to build my own happiness. She took $4 million in the divorce settlement and moved to Victoria with a yoga instructor named Kai. I haven't spoken to her since. That left me with Jennifer, my only child, my little girl. She's 34 now, and sometimes I look at her and wonder where the real Jennifer went. She used to be so grounded, so practical. She got her degree in social work from UBC, graduated with honors. She worked at a women's shelter in the downtown East Side, helping people who'd hit rock bottom find their way back. I was so proud of her. But then, 3 years ago, she met Tyler Morrison at some networking event in Yaletown, and everything shifted. Tyler is 36, with the perfectly trimmed beard, the expensive watches, the Tesla Model S that's always gleaming. He told me he was a cryptocurrency investor and day trader, that he'd made a fortune in Bitcoin and Ethereum. He used words like liquidity pools and algorithmic trading with the swagger of someone who'd cracked the code to easy wealth. I didn't trust him from the start. I'm a construction man. I believe in things you can build, things you can see rising from the ground, things that exist in the physical world. This crypto business, it felt like smoke to me, like betting on numbers that existed only in computers. But Jennifer was smitten, or maybe she was smitten with the lifestyle. Suddenly, they were flying to Montreal for long weekends, posting photos from rooftop bars in Toronto, wearing designer clothes that cost more than my monthly truck payment used to be. She quit her job at the shelter, said she was going to focus on wellness and lifestyle content. Her Instagram became a parade of green smoothies and sunset yoga poses and motivational quotes. She had 95,000 followers watching her curated life. I tried to talk to her. "Jennifer," I said one Sunday when she actually came by for brunch, something I'd been trying to arrange for months. "Where's all this money coming from? Tyler says he trades, but I never see him actually working." She laughed. That new laugh that sounded practiced. "Dad, you don't understand modern business. Tyler works from his phone. He makes more in a day than you used to make in a month. This is just how successful young entrepreneurs live now." I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell her that real success comes from decades of showing up, from calloused hands and early mornings and the satisfaction of building something that lasts. But I didn't. I stayed quiet. I didn't want to lose her the way I'd lost her mother. Then 8 months ago, things changed. Tyler started showing up at my office in Kelowna, unannounced. He'd bring expensive coffee from some boutique place, act friendly, then start asking questions. "William," he'd say, with the market shifting, "have you thought about diversifying into crypto? You could probably triple your assets if you knew the right protocols." I'd brush him off. But the questions got stranger, more specific. "That industrial complex project in Surrey, the one you're finishing for the tech company, when does that contract close? And those 3 condo towers in Burnaby, are you signing the final handover all at once or in stages?" I thought he was just making conversation, trying to sound intelligent. I had no idea he was mapping out my assets. The sale closed on a Friday morning in September. $52 million deposited into my account. Not bad for a guy who once couldn't afford to fix his own truck's transmission. That afternoon, I called Jennifer. "Sweetheart," I said, "I want to celebrate. This is it. This is the end of 38 years of work. Let's do something special. Just family." She sounded excited. "Oh, Dad, that's wonderful. We should have a party. What about your place on the lake? The view is beautiful this time of year." "Perfect," I said. "I'll have it catered. You, me, Tyler, and maybe a few close friends. Good food, good wine, sunset on the water. What do you think?" There was a brief pause. Then her voice came back warm and eager. "That sounds perfect. Tyler's been so stressed with work lately. This will be exactly what we need." Stressed. I should have heard the warning in that word. I hired a private chef, a woman named Sarah Chen, who'd worked at some of the best restaurants in Vancouver. She came highly recommended, could do everything from French cuisine to West Coast fusion. I invited a small group. My lawyer, Margaret Ross, who'd helped close the deal. A couple of old friends from my construction days. My accountant, David Park. And of course, Jennifer and Tyler. The party was set for Saturday evening, September 23rd. My house sits on a cliff overlooking Okanagan Lake, with a massive deck that catches the sunset perfectly. I had the place cleaned, the deck furniture arranged, flowers and vases, everything perfect. The guests started arriving at 6. The September evening was perfect. That golden light that makes everything in BC look like a postcard. The lake was calm, reflecting the mountains like glass. I stood on the deck with a glass of wine, feeling the warm breeze on my face, thinking, this is it. This is freedom. Jennifer arrived at 6:30 with Tyler. She hugged me tight, really tight, like she used to when she was little. "I'm so proud of you, Daddy," she said, and I believed her. Tyler shook my hand, his grip firm and confident. "William, this is incredible. Congratulations on everything you've built." Literally. We laughed. He seemed genuine. I wanted to like him, for Jennifer's sake. Sarah had prepared an amazing meal. West Coast salmon with a maple glaze, roasted vegetables from the Okanagan farms, wild rice, a fennel salad. It smelled incredible. We all sat at the long table on the deck, the lake spreading out before us, the sun beginning to set. Tyler stood and raised his glass. "To William Hayes," he said, "a man who built an empire from nothing, a man who proved that hard work and integrity still matter. To you, William." Everyone clinked glasses. The wine was a good Okanagan red, smooth and full. I took a sip and felt warmth spread through me. This was perfect. Dinner was served around 7:30. Sarah brought out the plates personally, each one beautifully arranged. When she set mine down, I noticed her hand shook slightly. She met my eyes for just a second, and I saw something there. Fear? Warning? But then she moved on to the next guest, and I dismissed it. We ate, we talked, we laughed, stories about old construction mishaps, Jokes about the time we nearly missed a deadline because of a freak snowstorm in March. Jennifer seemed happy, genuinely happy. Tyler kept his arm around her shoulders, attentive and charming. About 45 minutes into the meal, something felt wrong. My heart started racing, not gradually, but suddenly, like someone had flipped a switch. My hands began to tingle. The deck seemed to tilt slightly. I tried to take a breath and felt tightness in my chest. "William, you okay?" Margaret asked. "You look pale." "I'm fine," I said, but my voice sounded distant in my own ears. "Just need some water." I reached for my glass, but my hand was shaking too much. The glass tipped, water spilling across the table. Then the pain hit. Sharp, crushing pain in my chest, radiating down my left arm. I knew this feeling. I'd had a minor heart attack 3 years ago, spent a week in the hospital, been on medication ever since. But this was worse. Much worse. "Dad!" Jennifer screamed, jumping up from her chair. "Someone call 911. The world was spinning now. I tried to stand, but my legs wouldn't hold me. I collapsed back into the chair, then slid sideways. David caught me, lowered me to the deck. I could hear shouting, phone calls, Jennifer crying. My vision was tunneling, everything going dark at the edges. But I saw Tyler. He was standing a few feet away, his phone out, but he wasn't calling for help. He was just watching. His face wasn't panicked. It was calculating, waiting. The paramedics arrived in 12 minutes that felt like hours. I was drifting in and out of consciousness, hearing fragments of conversation. "History of heart condition," someone said. "On medication for 3 years. Possible heart attack." They lifted me onto a stretcher. As they wheeled me toward the ambulance, Sarah Chen appeared beside me. She leaned down, her face close to mine, and whispered so quietly I almost didn't hear it. "Mr. Hayes, your son-in-law put something in your food." I watched him. When everyone was distracted by the toast, he added powder to your plate. White powder from a small plastic bag. I'm certain. I tried to speak, to ask her more, but I couldn't form words. The world was going dark. The last thing I heard was Jennifer sobbing, and Tyler's voice, calm and controlled, saying, "It's okay, baby. The hospital will take care of him." They rushed me to Kelowna General Hospital. The emergency room was chaos, doctors shouting orders, nurses hooking me up to machines. I heard the words heart attack and critical and ICU. Then they gave me something, and I fell into darkness. When I woke up, it was dark outside. I was in a hospital bed, tubes and wires everywhere, machines beeping steadily. My chest ached, but the crushing pain was gone. A nurse noticed I was awake and came over. "Mr. Hayes, welcome back. You gave us quite a scare." "How long?" I croaked. "About 6 hours. You had a severe cardiac event. We've stabilized you, but you're going to be here for a while." "Where's my daughter?" "She's in the waiting room with your son-in-law. They've been here the whole time. Do you want me to get them?" "No," I said. "Not yet. I need to think." I lay there in the darkness, my mind working through what Sarah had told me. Tyler put something in my food. Powder. White powder. What was it? Something that triggered a heart attack? I was already on heart medication. If he knew that, and he must have known that, what could he have added that would cause this reaction? My phone was on the bedside table. It had somehow survived the chaos. I picked it up with shaking hands and texted Margaret Ross. "My lawyer. Need to see you. Hospital. Urgent. Don't tell anyone." She responded within 3 minutes. On my way. Margaret arrived an hour later, slipping into my room, quietly. "William, my God. What happened?" I told her everything. Sarah's warning, Tyler's strange behavior, his suspicious questions about my business over the past months. "I think he tried to kill me," I said. "I think this was planned." Margaret's face went pale. "That's a serious accusation. If you're wrong, I know. But if I'm right, he's going to try again. Or he's going to manipulate Jennifer into signing over my assets. I need to know the truth, and the only way to know is to let him think it's working." "What do you mean?" "I need you to tell the doctors I'm in a medically induced coma. Tell them I'm not expected to wake up for weeks, maybe months. Tell Jennifer and Tyler that I'm dying." Margaret stared at me. William, that's insane. You're asking me to lie to your daughter, to make her think she's losing her father. I know. But if Tyler is innocent, nothing changes. If he's guilty, he'll reveal himself. Either way, I'll know the truth before I actually die. She was quiet for a long time, looking at me in that hospital bed, pale and weak and wired to machines. Then she nodded slowly. All right, but I'm getting the RCMP involved. We're doing this right. Over the next 48 hours, Margaret orchestrated everything. She spoke to my doctor, explained the situation, got him to agree to the deception. He wasn't happy about it, but when Margaret explained the possible attempted murder, he understood. He wrote in my chart that I was in a medically induced coma due to severe cardiac damage, prognosis uncertain. Margaret told Jennifer and Tyler that I'd had a massive heart attack, that the damage was extensive, that the doctors had put me in a coma to let my body heal. She said I might not wake up for weeks, if I woke up at all. Jennifer was devastated. I watched through barely open eyes as she sat beside my bed, holding my hand, crying. Daddy, please don't leave me. Please. I need you. It took everything in me not to squeeze her hand, not to tell her I was fine. Tyler stood behind her, his hand on her shoulder, but he only stayed for about 10 minutes before making excuses. Babe, I should let you have time with him. I'll go get us some coffee. He left, and that's when Margaret's plan kicked into action. She'd arranged for hospital security to monitor Tyler's movements, to record his phone calls if possible. The RCMP had assigned a detective, a woman named Constable Rebecca Walsh, to investigate Sarah Chen's claim. Sarah was interviewed extensively. She described in detail what she'd seen. Tyler Morrison coming into the kitchen while she was plating the salmon, claiming he wanted to add a special garnish to my plate because I was the guest of honor. She'd been distracted, preparing other plates, but when she glanced back, she saw him shaking something white onto my food from a small plastic bag. At first she thought it was sea salt or some fancy finishing salt he'd brought. But his movements were furtive, quick, and he immediately pocketed the bag and left the kitchen. When I collapsed 40 minutes later, she knew. They obtained security footage from my house. I had cameras on the exterior, on the driveway and deck. The footage showed Tyler's car arriving. It showed him going into the house, and, critically, it showed him walking back to his car before dinner and retrieving a small object from his glove compartment. The footage was grainy, but you could see him pocket something small. Constable Walsh also started investigating Tyler's background. What she found was alarming. Tyler Morrison was not a successful cryptocurrency trader. He was a fraud. For the past 2 years, he'd been running an online gambling operation, one of those offshore casino sites that took bets on everything from sports to cryptocurrency prices. He'd made decent money initially, but then he'd gotten greedy. He'd started gambling himself, using customer funds. He'd lost big, really big. He owed $4 million to a criminal organization based out of Montreal, people with connections to organized crime across Canada. The debt was due in 6 weeks. After that, Tyler would disappear, probably permanently. His plan was becoming clear. Marry the wealthy man's daughter. Wait for the wealthy man to sell his business. Kill the wealthy man. Inherit everything through Jennifer. Pay off the debt. Disappear with whatever was left. Jennifer had no idea. She thought Tyler was successful, thought the luxury lifestyle was real. She was a pawn, just like I was supposed to be a corpse. While I lay in that hospital bed, pretending to be in a coma, Constable Walsh gathered evidence. She got a warrant for Tyler's phone records. She found text messages to a number in Montreal. The messages were coded but clear enough. The old man's down. Doctors say weeks, maybe permanent. I'll have access soon. And a response. You have 5 weeks. Clock is ticking. Don't disappoint us. She found his search history. Searches for heart attack symptoms, medications that cause heart attack, digitalis poisoning, foxglove plant toxicity. Foxglove. That was it. Digitalis, a compound from the foxglove plant, could cause heart arrhythmias, especially in someone already on heart medication. In the right dose, it mimicked a heart attack perfectly. Sarah's testimony, the security footage, the phone records, the search history. It was building into a solid case. But we needed more. We needed to catch Tyler making his next move. Because I wasn't dead. And that was going to be a problem for him. On day 5 of my coma, Tyler made his move. He went to see a doctor in Vancouver, a physician named Dr. James Thornton, who'd had his license suspended twice for ethical violations, prescribing unnecessary opioids, falsifying medical records. Tyler paid him $20,000 cash to write a new medical report, one that stated my condition was irreversible, that I had extensive brain damage in addition to the cardiac issues, that I would never wake up. With this report, Tyler planned to convince Jennifer to make end-of-life decisions, to sign a DNR, to let me die naturally, rather than keeping me on machines indefinitely. And once I was actually dead, he could start the inheritance process. Except Dr. Thornton was already under investigation by the College of Physicians and Surgeons. When he was approached by Tyler, he immediately contacted authorities. They recorded the entire conversation, Tyler offering cash, Dr. Thornton agreeing, Tyler explaining exactly what he needed and why. The RCMP arrested Dr. Thornton on the spot, as planned. He agreed to cooperate fully in exchange for leniency. They had Tyler on video, on audio, attempting to falsify medical records to facilitate murder. That was enough. But I wanted more. I wanted Tyler to confess. I wanted Jennifer to hear it from his own mouth. So I waited. On day 8, Margaret arranged a meeting in my hospital room. She told Jennifer and Tyler that the doctors wanted to discuss my prognosis with the family. Jennifer came immediately. Tyler came too, looking nervous, but trying to hide it. They sat in chairs beside my bed. I was lying there, eyes closed, breathing steadily with the help of a ventilator mask I didn't actually need. Dr. Singh, my actual cardiologist who was in on the plan, came in with a grave expression. "Thank you for coming. I want to update you on William's condition." He paused, letting the tension build. "I'm afraid the news isn't good. The damage to his heart was more extensive than we initially thought, and we're now seeing signs of cerebral hypoxia, brain damage from lack of oxygen during the initial event." Jennifer's hand flew to her mouth. "Oh, no. No, no, no. I'm sorry, doctor," Singh continued. "At this point, even if we could revive him from the coma, the quality of life would be severely compromised. We're looking at potential vegetative state, inability to speak, to recognize loved ones, to care for himself." Tyler leaned forward. "So what are you saying, doctor? What are the options?" Dr. Singh looked at him steadily. "In cases like this, families often consider comfort care, removing life support, allowing the patient to pass naturally and peacefully. It's a difficult decision, but sometimes it's the most humane." "No," Jennifer said immediately. "No, I can't make that decision. That's my father. He's all I have left." "I understand," Dr. Singh said gently. "There's no rush. But I wanted you to be aware of where we are." He left. Jennifer was sobbing. Tyler put his arm around her, but I could see through my barely open eyelids that his mind was working. "Baby," Tyler said softly, "I know this is hard, but maybe we should think about what your dad would want. He was always so practical, so logical. Would he want to exist like this? Hooked up to machines, no awareness, no life?" "Stop," Jennifer said. "I can't talk about this right now." Over the next 3 days, Tyler worked on her. I know because Constable Walsh had placed listening devices in my hospital room with court approval. We had recordings of everything. Tyler talking about my dignity, about how I'd hate being helpless, about the financial burden of long-term care, about how I'd want her to move on with her life. He never said the words directly, but the message was clear. Let me die. On day 11, Jennifer wavered. "Maybe you're right," she said to Tyler, her voice hollow. "Maybe Dad wouldn't want this. Maybe it's cruel to keep him alive like this." Tyler seized the moment. "I'll talk to the doctors tomorrow. We can make arrangements for comfort care. We can say goodbye properly." That night, Margaret called me on a secure line. "Tomorrow," she said. "We move tomorrow. Are you ready?" "I'm ready," I said. "Let's end this." The next morning, Jennifer and Tyler arrived at the hospital at 10. They'd arranged to meet with Dr. Singh and Margaret to discuss the next steps. They came into my room first. Jennifer sat beside my bed, holding my hand, crying quietly. Tyler stood behind her, his hand on her shoulder, but his eyes were on the machines, on the monitors showing my vital signs. "Goodbye, Daddy," Jennifer whispered. "I love you so much. I hope you're at peace. I'm sorry I have to let you go." Tyler nodded solemnly, but I saw it in his eyes. Triumph, relief. He thought he'd won. That's when I opened my eyes. "Jennifer," I said, my voice rough but clear. "I'm not going anywhere." Jennifer screamed, actually screamed, and jumped back from the bed. Her eyes went wide, her mouth open in shock. Tyler went pale, all the color draining from his face. He took a step back, then another. "Dad?" Jennifer gasped. You're awake? How?" "I've been awake for 11 days, I said, sitting up and pulling off the ventilator mask I'd been wearing for show. "I've been listening. I've been watching. And I've been gathering evidence." Tyler bolted. He actually turned and ran for the door, but Constable Walsh was waiting right outside with 2 other RCMP officers. "Tyler Morrison," she said, stepping into his path. "You're under arrest for attempted murder, conspiracy to commit fraud, and falsifying medical documents." The officers grabbed him before he could react. He struggled, shouting, "This is insane! He's fine. It was all an act." "Oh, it was an act," I said, getting out of the bed. "My act. To catch you." Jennifer was staring at me, at Tyler, at the police, completely lost. "Dad, what's happening? I don't understand." That's when Margaret stepped forward with a tablet. "Jennifer, honey," she said gently, "you need to see this." She showed Jennifer everything, the security footage of Tyler putting something in my food, the recording of Tyler paying Dr. Thornton for a fake medical report, the text messages about the debt, the search history about digitalis poisoning, the phone calls to Montreal. She showed her Tyler's real financial situation, the gambling, the debt, the timeline, his plan. With each piece of evidence, Jennifer's face changed. Confusion became horror. Horror became fury. She turned to Tyler, who was now in handcuffs. "You tried to kill my father?" she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "For money?" Tyler didn't deny it. He couldn't. His shoulders slumped. "Jennifer, I'm sorry. I had no choice. They were going to kill me. So you decided to kill him instead?" Her voice was rising now. "My father? The man who welcomed you into our family? Who loaned you money when you said you needed it for investments? Who trusted you?" "I had no choice," Tyler said again. But it sounded hollow, even to him. Jennifer slapped him. The sound echoed in the hospital room. Then she turned to me, tears streaming down her face. "Daddy, I didn't know. I swear to God, I had no idea about any of this. I thought he loved me. I thought we were building a life." I pulled her into a hug. "I know, sweetheart. I know." The RCMP took Tyler away. He'd face trial for attempted murder, fraud, conspiracy, and 6 other charges. The evidence was overwhelming. The $4 million debt meant federal involvement, organized crime connections. He was looking at 20 to 30 years in federal prison. Dr. Thornton lost his medical license permanently and faced charges for his role in the scheme. The hardest part was still ahead. Jennifer and I sat in my house on the lake 2 days later, the same deck where I'd collapsed. She looked so young, so broken. "I was so stupid," she said. "I saw what I wanted to see. The success, the lifestyle, the love. I didn't see what he really was." "You're not stupid. You're human. You wanted to believe in something beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that. How do I trust anyone again, Dad? How do I know someone won't just see me as a bank account?" "You start by trusting yourself," I said. "You remember who you were before Tyler. You were helping people. Real people with real problems. You were making a difference. That woman who worked at the shelter in the downtown East Side, she's still in there. Find her again." She looked up at me. I don't know if I can. You can, and I'll help you. But Jennifer, you need to do it without my money. What? I'm not cutting you off forever. But for the next year, you're on your own financially. You need to remember what it's like to build something yourself, to work for something that matters, to stand on your own 2 feet. She was quiet for a long time. Then she nodded. Okay, I'll try. That was 11 months ago. Jennifer moved into a small apartment in East Vancouver, not far from where she used to work. She got a job at a different shelter, working with women escaping domestic violence. She deleted her Instagram account with its 95,000 followers. She stopped chasing the aesthetic and started chasing purpose. We have breakfast every Sunday now, at a small cafe in Kelowna when she drives out to visit. She tells me about the women she's helping, the small victories, the setbacks, the moments that matter. She's good at it. She always was. Last month, she came to me with a proposal. She wanted to start a nonprofit, a transition house for women leaving abusive relationships, with job training and counseling services. She'd saved $18,000 from her salary. She needed a loan for the rest. I'll pay you back, she said, with interest. 5-year term. I've got a full business plan and partnership commitments from 3 other organizations. I read the business plan. It was thorough, professional, achievable. This was my daughter, the real one. I don't want interest, I said, but I want to sit on the board, and I want quarterly reports. This is an investment, not a gift. Her face lit up. Deal. The organization is called Second Foundations. It opened 2 months ago in a renovated house in Surrey that I helped them acquire. They've already helped 9 women transition to independence. Jennifer is building something real, something that matters, something that's hers. As for Tyler, he's in federal prison, 27 years without parole. He tried to write Jennifer once, a long letter begging for forgiveness. She sent it back unopened. She's done with him. I'm back in my house on the lake. I've started consulting with young construction companies, teaching them what I learned over 38 years. I'm teaching Jennifer about business, about building something that lasts, about the difference between wealth and worth. She's a quick learner. She always was. Sometimes I stand on my deck at sunset, looking out at Okanagan Lake, at the mountains turning purple in the fading light, and I think about that night, the powder in my food, the crushing pain in my chest, the decision to fake a coma. I was supposed to die that night. I was supposed to become a cautionary tale about trusting the wrong person. Instead, I became a ghost in my own hospital room. And ghosts, as it turns out, can haunt the living in ways they never expect. But more than that, they can help the living find their way back to who they really are. If you learned something from this story, hit that like button. And if you believe that truth and patience always win over deception, drop a comment below. I'll see you in the next one.